Hey guys, in this video I want to talk to you about one of the common challenges that we run into when we're making PDF files accessible, and that is making sure that tables in our documents are compliant. Now, when your tables are not prepared properly, they can't be read properly using assistive technology, and that becomes a huge barrier for anybody using that software. So I want to show you how I like to fix my tables using one of my favorite plugins, which is CommonLook PDF. Now, if you take a look at my screen, I currently have a document open that has a table on it. And this table I would call somewhat like mediocre in complexity, right? I mean, it's not super complicated, but it does have column headers, it does have row headers, and we want to make sure that this table is compliant, right? So how do we check it? Well, one of the things that we could do here in CommonLook is if we come over here into the standards panel, I'm just going to go ahead and open that, and then I'm going to open accessibility, and I'm going to check this document against the WCAG standard. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, click the full button, and that is going to run the CommonLook validator on this document. Now, I'm going to come up here to the filter because the all option shows me a lot of extra stuff, right? I'm really just concerned with what's failing right now. So in the filter by, I'm going to open this up, uncheck all, and just choose failed, okay? Now, when you look at the list of problems here, I mean, we do have one where we don't have any heading levels in this document, so that's one issue. But all my other issues are related to header cells in a table. And if you look over here in the description, it says that this cell does not have column headers associated with it. So, CommonLook is saying, this table doesn't have the key elements needed in order for me to make this compliant. Now, there's some other issues that we have with this table as well. And I'm going to show you how to fix these too. And that is that we need to define spans for some of these cells. And the best way to see this is using the table editor. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my tags panel, and I'm going to open up tags, open up document, and I'm going to click on table. And one of the things you'll notice here is that the table 4-1, as well as the note at the bottom, are part of the table. And this actually makes your job harder, okay? Including those elements in the table, it actually provides for a less than ideal experience for anybody using assistive technology. And it makes your job harder because it makes it harder to make it compliant, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is open up this table, and I'm going to open the first row. I'm going to open this cell, and you can see that I have a P tag here. And if I click on it, that is the text for table 4-1. Now I'm going to use one of my favorite keyboard shortcuts here, which is the level up command. And if you press Control P on your keyboard, what this will do is level up this P tag. You see it's moving it out of the cell, out of the row. I'm going to hit it one more time. It's going to move it out of the table. This is fantastic, right? And I'm actually going to change the name of this, this tag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to Convert Tag, and I'm going to click on H1, right? So now that text is going to be a heading level 1. Perfect. Now, if we come down here to the last row, this is the note down here at the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing, Control P, and now this is just a paragraph. We got rid of the cell, we got rid of the row, and I'm just going to slide this guy up above the table, and then I'll collapse the table, and I'm going to move it down here below it. Now we have the table with a heading above it and this paragraph below it. This is perfect. Now, let's get down to business. Let's fix this table. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on the table, and I'm going to come down and choose Show Table Editor. And let me get rid of this validator so that I have a little bit more room. And the table editor in CommonLook is very, very powerful. One of the things I love here, do you see how the table in the table editor is stair-stepped? And that's because we have a different number of cells in different rows. And that, of course, is also a problem, right? When you look at this table in the table editor, it should be a rectangle. Now I'm going to switch over to a little whiteboard that I have prepared here, because I want to show you that currently in the table, visually the table looks like what we're looking at, but structurally the cells in this first row are in these positions, okay? Now what we need to do is we need to say this cell that currently only occupies this much space needs to occupy this much space. And we need to repeat that for this one as well as this one. And then of course this guy up here has a span applied as well. So going back to CommonLook, what we're going to do is I'm going to click on this cell that says area of interest. And if you come over to your properties, you can see that right now this cell is simply a TD cell. Now we want it to be a table header. So I'm going to click on the drop down and I'm going to choose TH from the drop down. And once I do that, you may notice that down here we have some additional options that are now available. Now what I need to do to this cell is it needs to have a row span of 2. And to understand that, if you look at this cell, it occupies the space of 2 rows. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to increase my row span to 2. And while I'm here, I'm going to set the scope of this cell to be a column header, right? Because it's a header for the column. The information below it, system-wide, urban, rural, small community, grand total. Those are all information of this column header. All right, now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to select Sacramento Basin, and then I'll just shift click on total to select all of them. And once again, I'm going to come up here to the type and change this to a TH cell. Okay, and you can see when I have these selected, if I come down here to the bottom, I'm going to change the scope to be a column header. And then the other thing we need to do is change the column span to 2, because each of these cells occupies the space of 2 cells. The way you calculate the span is you look at your table and you find the row that has the most number of cells. And that's going to be these guys down here. And so these cells up here occupy the space of 2 cells down here. And that's how that all works. I'm now going to grab these low cells because these are also header cells. So I'm going to change the type to a TH as I did before. And again, with these selected, I'm also going to come down and change the scope to be a column header. Now, the last thing we need to do is over here where it says system-wide, urban, rural, so on and so forth, I'm going to highlight all of these cells. Once again, I'm going to change the type of cell to be a table header cell. And then we don't have a span on these cells, but we do need to set the scope of these cells to be a row header. Okay? And if we wanted to validate the work that we've done, I can come back up here to the WCAG standards option, run another full check, and you can see now that I'm filtering my results by what is failing, and you can now see that nothing is failing because I fixed this table appropriately and I've made it compliant. And now when somebody reads this table using assistive technology, they're going to be able to navigate this table appropriately and read the data as we want them to. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'll see you next time.